Look at me. 20 years ago, I didn't think I'd be here. But wait, let me introduce myself first. So when I started trading, I decided I'm ready to lend my experience, knowledge, and dedication to those that wants to elevate. So welcome to Mindset. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Mindset Participation. I know it's been a while since I put anything on YouTube based on mindset, but don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and the bell button, letting all your friends and family know that I've dropped nothing but pure gems for each and every one of y'all. That said, I'm gonna get right to it. So the first thing I want to kind of talk about is the current situation with the market, and the market is pretty much rallying, and it's always staying as very bullish in itself. And since we're getting really deep into our vision list, it's very important that you are making sound decisions along the way, because for you to get to those desired levels is going to take a lot of relative work, okay, especially that you've been trading for a while. So if you got beat up by the market because you was like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and get these December puts because it's a brand new year and this market is just not going to go up, that's all right. I hope you cashed out and you locked in your losses wherever it's necessary based on your risk management. And it is what it is. All right. And then the last part, out of all places, if you are printing money like it's a freaking water spigot and is just giving everything out, and you have like 10,000%, 11,000, 20,000, 30,000%, hey, you might want to take some of the risk off the table. So if you have any, how many entries? At this point, I want to say I gave y'all, it was somewhere around like 150, 200. I think we've played with some numbers. My wife did something very extravagant. I think she did like 250 or something like that. But right now, the most important thing is keep going, because I know after 50, it's very hard to add to the list. Sorry, I'm finding a cold, so you're going to hear me clear my throat quite a bit. I'll try to mute where I can. So what are we going to be talking about? Now, I've talked about more ways than one on understanding and managing risk. Recently, when I released the album that was out, one of them is called Less Avant-Garde or More, which is Stop Loss Love. Now, the reason why I made that track in itself was, at the end of the day, we have a strong inclination of looking at stop losses in the most negative way possible. And to be honest, if you really think about it, let's just say you had yourself a nice little profit and your profit sits about here, right? That profit is supposed to protect you from anything else in the future, right? We're talking about maybe you cash out some of that profit so that way you can go ahead and do what you need to do, or you can use it as leverage for other things. Actually, let me find my pen, because pencil looks like it's a little light for the camera. And I have children, and I do not see my pen, and they already attacked my markers a long time ago. So, well, we're gonna have to fight with the pencil. I do apologize, right? So profits are supposed to be for either A, cash, things that you want to buy, or leverage for a later time. And of course, a little bit of wants. Why don't we put some wants is there, right? Wants, right? So if profits are supposed to be doing that, I don't want to hear the conversation of the word house money, right? I think house money automatically gives you a little bit of psychology, as if you just went ahead and robbed a bank, right? That you just went ahead and, nah, you know what? It's not my money anyway, so let's go ahead and make it rain. What's the difference between you and a bank robber if you think that about your money? I want you to think about it as, this is my soldiers. And this is, shout out to Bucky, because this is the philosophy I've always thought about and I've always kept for the longest, right? Oh, I'm too far to the left, right? I want you to think of them as soldiers, And every time you enter a trade, let's just say this is your level and this is your entry. This is your soldier's entry. That's what they get in. Now, if they make a strong push forward, then guess what? They're going to capture more dollars. That's the goal. And if you think that, and I'm going to give y'all a nice example. Let's just say you were playing some type of price action and it looked just like this. And then you had a little bit of, let me go ahead and put that right there. Let's put you right here and let's just make this super long. Let's just call you a fair value gap because it had a little bit of a wick right here and a little bit of a wick right there. Nice little gap down. And then you had a nice little move where the sellers thought they were going to make a nice little push down to this downside, right? But you went ahead and recovered. So we're going to call this green. This one's going to be red. And at the point, this is where your entry kind of comes in. This is where soldiers kind of came in, right? So that means you're going to be attacking some sense of a fair value gap in this case. Again, I'm just using this as a paraphrase. It could be an EMA, it could be a target, it could be a level. You already know, level to level. That's all we're worrying about. We just worrying about where we got in. And if our stop loss is right below a strong level of support, let's call yourself support right here, then the game plan for me to get everything out of my vision list, for me to get everything from my desire, is for me to capture, right? Capture more dollars, right? It's going to be inside of this area itself. If that is my goal, then that means as we're capturing with a new candle that's going up there, then that means I want to see nothing but pure green candles just going up to here. And if it, at best, I want it to go past there, right? But ask yourself this question. Why am I treating this as house money? You're asking for trouble because that's really your money. If someone captures a soldier on the other side of and brings him into their barracks, or they bring him into their holding cell, whatever you want to call it, right? Or they're like, oh, you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and just let the cell. Why lock the cell? I'm not going to do that. Why even bother? Again, I'm not talking about for you to just go ahead and let me just snap my stop loss into position as quickly as possible, because I don't want to change your trading strategy. What I'm saying is, if you know between here and here, you was risking $500. And when it got to here, you saw $600. And then when it got to this peak, you saw $1,000. Between $500 and $1,000, what is house money? Since y'all want to use the name house money. Could it be 250 of those dollars? Because that between here and here, that's 500. Boosted up to 100 right there. So this is a thought. No matter what ends up happening, I'm going to walk away with $100. I already know I got a strong level of support here. I know my desire is to make as much money as possible. That's human nature. That's what everybody wants to do. We're not in the game of trading just because it's for shits and giggles, and that's not our game plan. Our game plan is for us to operate our trading plan, and if it gives us a surprise where they give us one more green candle and it takes out another level, you're at $2,000. At what point you're like, well, I got more than what I expected. It might be a time for me to start locking in. And the reason why I want to have this conversation is so that way I can explain something that happened to me recently. If you don't know, I'm in the transportation business. It kind of got beat up quite a bit, right? And when I mean beat up, I'm talking about completely beat up. If you already know, those disruptors over at Uber really affects the limo business, and I'm in limo, right? So lost a good chunk of my generation of money there, right? But I have multiple facets. And one person came in and was like, I have no cash. All I have is this, right? He didn't have enough to give me a tip. If you don't know what that is, you haven't traveled. I've been everywhere except Europe. So I've never seen this. I doubted them. I don't even know what it looked like. But I was like, you know what? This thing kind of feels like money. It kind of did like this. But you got to ask yourself, this is me in a personification way looking at a trade. I'm trading my time. In this case, it was a tip that he was giving me. He was giving me a $20 tip. And I'm trading my time, or the chance of me having a tip of $20 or so for a euro. Now, I don't have to tell you, the US dollar has been getting its butt whooped. So when he offered it to me, I just, I didn't say anything. I didn't sound ecstatic or whatever. I just knew that this is much more valuable than the dollar. So he probably thought he was just giving me $20, but he's actually giving me a little bit more. I think right now it's at 118. So it's about maybe about $3.60 more right now. But in the case of gold, and everybody's been investing into gold, in the case of everybody investing into silver, rare earth metals, trading, I want you to kind of look at this, that this is exactly the stock market, just personified. It's in my hand, right? Okay, no problem. I got you, Melina. Right? So I traded my time for money. When am I going to cut my losses? Well, when I look at this euro and it starts to look like it's going to go on a decline. Yes. Yes, I did. Right? So I don't have the multiplier of what gold is, right? But if you think about it, wait a minute. There's an exchange not too far from where I stay. What if I started changing or trading, however you want to look at it, some of my money into euro? We already know the US dollar has more to the downside because everything that's been going on, especially with the potential of war. I could parlay this, and I'm getting into something. I'm gonna explain where I'm gonna get to. I know it's a little bit long and drawn in, but just stay with me. Be patient, right? Anything good that comes quick is not good for you. Yeah, exactly. It's now worth about $24, right? So now, let's put this into perspective. I could go into the euro, watch the charts and everything else, and when it's actually at a support, I can go ahead and make another purchase of more euros. Or maybe I see something with the Aussie, go get some Australian dollars. Whatever it is, GBP, gold. In this new economy that's going to go ahead and affect us in this way, with the US dollar losing its value, that means people are bailing out of the US dollar, but you went ahead and stuffed all your money in the bottom of the mattress, then that means you're keeping your soldiers at the barracks. You're not sending it out to go and attack. And you may be wrong. There may be some casualties. There will be losses. But nothing ventured is never anything gained. So if you're going to go ahead and sit back and be as comfortable as possible, so that way you can go ahead and do whatever it is that you want to do. Maybe trade your time for money because you get paid $25 an hour, $30 per hour, $150 per hour. Cool, that's fine. Well, if you're not going to do nothing with it, then all it's going to do is get eaten up by inflation. And as the US dollar is dropping, you're basically in a bad trade. So what does that all mean? If I'm putting it together for all my desires, I want cash, I want leverage, I have wants that I want to have addressed when it's all said and done, then I got to go capture more dollars. And what's the best way of capturing dollars right now? If you're not looking at the charts, you won't know. You would think that if I just hold on to the money, when the money recovers, then the dollar's just going to shoot up. What if it never recovers? Are you going to just sit back and watch? Or are you going to go ahead and be assertive in your future? I'm going to repeat a phrase that I tell my trading floors in more ways than one. The moment that you're untrained, the moment that you are completely stubborn, and I'm paraphrasing it in so many ways, I'm just giving you all the variations. The moment that you're unteachable, the moment that you feel like you know it all, the moment that you feel like at the end of the day, everything is exactly right and there's no one that can tell you nothing, is the moment that you're replaceable, because there's people that's plotting on doing exactly the opposite and finding new ways, new edges. And each and every day, they're always replacing a trader on the floor. Are you going to be replaced? So do not let your greed see 2,000 and then out of nowhere, I'm just going to hold on to it, and you didn't lock in anything, and it comes right back to your 500. That is just as Foolish as putting that money on the bottom of your mattress. Nice. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Yes. Yes. It's a lot more than what it was at the time of the exchange. I want to say at one point the euro was so low below the dollar. Like I think you traded like I think $2 of the euro would have gave you like $4 or $5 of the euro. Now the euro's over the dollar. If you got it at that point, then that thing is printing. And you didn't have to do anything. You didn't have to trade. You didn't have to look at a chart. You didn't have to do nothing. You didn't have to pay no commission fees. It just appreciated. And that's what's happening with gold right now. That's what's happening with silver. That's what happened with the rare earth metals. Like right now, China is suspending all the. It is except of what happened during the pandemic. When Forex was in its height during the pandemic, everybody thought it was all this MT4, MT5s, and just traded off the screen. This is physical. I know some individuals that stacking on some gold coins. I'm starting to look into the gold coins, but this is going to be my pathway first. I think I'm going to play around with this a little bit, see how it goes. But you already see gold is a little toppy. But literal foreign cash exchange is different than foreign exchange that you already know from those brokerages, especially with the manipulation that's there. So that said, as I wrap this as a bow, stop playing around with your house money. Fine, you want to call it house money? I think at the end of the day, you got to beat that from a psychological standpoint. Stop calling it house money. Because if you call it a house money, then you're calling it something that has to do with a connotation with the Vegas casino. That means you're gambling. And if you're gambling, then you're like, I'm going to go ahead and see what happens. And you might as well light your money on fire and see what happens. But if you're telling me that you have a strategy, when it does this, it does that, and you follow the 3 W's, why am I looking? What is my entry? When do I get in? I enter at support. I'm waiting to see if they get the fair value gap. Oh, wait, it gives me a nice little surprise. Now, instead of me putting $1,000 in my kids' fund, now I can put in $1,500 and I can go ahead and buy myself something that I want. But it goes with respect. You don't respect your money by calling it house money. Imagine, with a lack of better words, I can plug in whatever blank, right? If I turn around and said something crazy to my wife, and you could plug in whatever word that you want, that is a negative connotation of exactly what she is not, what do you think that the end result would be? Would it be negative? It would be negative because you've spewed out something negative. You're calling your money house money. But you have a vision list for you to have a Maybach. You have a vision list that you want to go ahead and probably obituary. yeah, pretty much. It's like it'll kill your portfolio, right? If you call it house money, all right? Then that means if I said something crazy to my wife, it might do something. You know what? I can't say the word. I just thought about that. What was it? Oh, I forgot the phrase that they use for YouTube. I do apologize. Do not cancel me. Right? At the end of the day, you don't want to put yourself in a position where at the end of the day you're affecting your future. You're affecting everything else. So why don't you respect it? Why don't you speak life into your money? I know it's digital. It's in front of a screen behind your E-Trade, your Weibo, and everything else. There was a study years ago, and I'm gonna leave it at this point. Unalive. Thank you. My wife was unalive, man. I said something crazy. She crazy. No, she's beautiful. She's amazing, and I wish the best for her and us as we go ahead and take on this journey. It's hilarious. But I will say this: if you don't respect your money, then it won't respect you. It will literally leave you, just like my wife would leave me if I didn't respect her. If you don't respect it, it'll go to someone that respects it. And the one that respects it is the one that's usually patient. And the one that's patient is the one that actually calls it, this is my entry because I got to get these soldiers to go conquer and take other dollars. So go ahead. I want y'all to go ahead and write down the word respect. I respect my money. I respect my Weibo account. I am not YOLOing as much as Reddit is showing all these YOLOs and everything else. I want to have my soldiers capture more dollars. That said, I bid you a fine farewell. Don't forget to hit the like Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and the bell button. And I'll see y'all on a later time. You have a wonderful day. Bye.